Coming to you live from the Thespian stage on the plain of Ravnica, this is Tap Tap Concede. Hello everyone, I'm Cameron.
Hey, and I'm Ben.
And we're going to be talking to you kids about this new format called Standard that you might have heard some of your friends rapping about.
Yeah,
we wanted to give you the straight dope about it.
Cool kids do Standard.
It's true.
Yeah, because this has been I'm not going to actually sit like this.
Yeah,
but this seems like a bad idea and I'm setting myself up for failure. For those of you listening on the audio, I turned my chair around like a cool guy.
Yep.
But this was a really, really awesome Pro Tour. Mm-hmm. It was very, very exciting, specifically because I think it might have been just sort of a refreshing thing after Worlds, where we were seeing a lot of these decks that we just sort of knew had been around. Like, no, right. you don't go crazy with the Cheese Whiz on at Worlds, right? But at Pro Tour, sometimes where you see these rogue deck lists, and there was a ton of really, really fun and interesting ones.
Super exciting.
Yeah.
First, though, we want to say that this podcast is brought to you by you, the viewers, over at patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun. Thank you very much. You make this work and all of our other work possible. It is also brought to you by the fine people over at CardKingdom.com. CardKingdom.com, the game store you would open when you look around your card store and think, I should open a better store than this.
Card Kingdom, it's .com.
Yeah, if you go to cardkingdom.com/LRR, that enters our affiliate code to let them know that we sent you. And if you enter LoadingReadyRun sent me, button please, they will send you along a button which reads, I just encountered this yesterday.
It's something about, isn't it Dome 'em out or burn?
No, it was Dome 'em out.
What's our card now, James? Or our thing?
I don't remember.
You'll get a
sweet charming button.
we're so good at the sponsorship thing.
It's both witty and cheeky.
Yeah, and all the cool kids are wearing it at the Pro Tour.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's a great online store. It's a great brick and mortar store. If you're in Seattle, check them out. If you're online and you need singles, please consider using them.
That's how I make a lot of the decks that I use on the Commander, the Lure MTG that we do every Friday. So it's a good way to check out some good cards.
So we're going to move right on to the Crack-A-Pack right now, and our RNG says it will be 6.
6. All right, do you want to do left or do you want to do right?
Let's do right.
Okay, sounds good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is 5th Dawn.
Ooh.
Wow.
Okay.
All right, and this comes to us from Ray Power from GP Vegas.
Thank you very much, Mr. Power.
Alrighty.
All right. So 5th Dawn had like Sunburst as a mechanic.
Yeah, well, because it's got what's his face.
Oh yeah, etched Oracle.
Yeah, right on the front there. So. I don't even know. This was not a time when Ben played Magic. That's for sure.
I want to say Mirrodin was the first set that had the new frame.
Yeah?
Original Mirrodin block.
Okay. All right. Well, it didn't have color in the mana symbols on the cards in the effects text, so that's a thing from the past. Starting us off, we've got Tyrannax. So Tyrannax is a 4 mana or a 5/4 for 4, a green and a green, and for 1 and a green, Tyrannax gets -1/+1 until end of turn. So I mean, you give it a booty. I mean, I guess a 5/4 for 6
is not as good as a Crawworm.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess if I don't know this draft format by any means. But I mean, I guess anything that you can kind of make, if somebody somehow combat tricks you and you can give it a bigger booty or something to get around things, maybe.
Yeah, maybe that's valuable.
Yeah. And now it's time for everybody's favorite little dude tribe. Mir Servitor.
Oh boy, Mir Servitor is a 1 mana, 1/1 Mir. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Mir Servitor is in play, each player returns all cards named Mir Servitor from his or her graveyard to play.
Oh man, so this is like Nusis Engine with like legs in a way.
Yeah.
Things just sort of keep getting in the way.
Yeah.
Right? Like I imagine you just use these for chump blockers forever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's probably some sort of like crazy thing to go around it, but
I'd imagine.
It's interesting. I've actually never even seen that one before.
Me neither. Maybe there's a reason for that.
Yeah, maybe it's got nothing going on for it. Up next, we've got a sorcery, Screaming Fury. It is.
Oh, go ahead.
It's a 2 and a red For a sorcery, target creature gets +5/+0 and gains haste until end of turn.
Definitely don't like this at sorcery speed.
No, I mean, that's not what red wants to be doing at all. I mean, +5/+0 is pretty big.
Yeah.
And I mean, the haste is pretty crazy, but I think, like, to make this work in a red deck, like, this is like, what, you're playing a 2, like, maybe getting something off on turn 4?
Yeah,
that's like
that's
really
like
and that's playing like a 1-drop to make it come out.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't know about this one.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it can trade with literally probably anything at that point.
Yeah, like 3 mana to give something, like the haste is just completely vestigial on this. Right?
Yeah, yeah. So, although I do like the flavor text. He's got an axe to grind.
Oh.
All right, up next. Do you want to take this one?
Yeah, Conjurer's Bauble, 1 colorless mana. Or 1 generic mana. Tap, sacrifice Conjurer's Bauble. Put up to 1 target card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library. Draw a card.
It's like,
I guess.
shitty eggs,
Yeah.
right? Like you're drawing, like the
You're
draw
drawing a
card is
for
a
1 mana to like get rid of something out of your graveyard.
Yeah, put it back on, do a shuffle effect somehow, maybe, or
Yeah, and you have
tutor.
a chance of seeing it again.
Yeah.
I guess it's better than getting a reanimator target exiled from your graveyard by some kind of effect. Maybe.
Right. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's not at all the same thing, but this is kind of like crappy Mishra's Bauble in a way, right?
Yeah.
Eggs, man.
Eggs.
Eggs.
I don't know them.
Up next, we got Early Frost. I like this. Early Frost is 1 and a blue for an instant. Tap up to 3 target lands.
I guess you do cast this on your opponent's upkeep step.
Yeah, yeah, and just sort of put them back. Like, I mean, I guess if you're playing if you're playing like tempo,
Maybe.
in limited, like.
We don't see these effects that often anymore.
No, I mean this is fairly powerful. Like, I mean, you pretty much just because it's what is the. It's like 3 and a blue for a sorcery that like just taps down or nothing untaps on your opponent's upstep or whatever.
Right.
It's got like the clown dude on the front. I cannot even remember what that card is called.
No.
I don't know. Anyways, but you know kind of what I'm talking about, and I'm sure someone listening probably knows. But yeah, I guess this is like a smaller effect of it.
How often would your turn 3 just be like somebody casting Early Frost on you and you having to say,
okay. Yeah, like, I guess this would be coming into your opponent's turn 4, which is like, I guess a pretty critical turn in limited.
Yeah, I suppose so. That's when you can start landing some really like relevant things.
But on the flip side, then it means that you're probably only casting at most casting a 2-drop, so you can hold up the mana to cast this. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hey, look at this.
Circle of Protection artifacts.
Man, this pack is sweet.
Oh, Circles of Protection.
The art of this card, though, oh my goodness.
Yeah, and Therese Nielsen. Again, always reliable. Circle of Protection artifacts, 1 and a white for an enchantment. For 2 generic mana, the next time an artifact source of your choice would deal damage to you this turn, prevent that damage.
Total bomb against Workshop. What are you going to do?
Just blank somebody's one-shot robot. All you have to do is play this the turn before they combo out.
Yeah. Oh, wait, is that on turn 1?
Yeah.
Speaking of artifacts, we've got a Guardian Idol. It is a 2-drop artifact for just 2 generic mana. Comes into play tapped. It can be a mana rock. You can tap to add 1 colorless to your pool. Or for 2 colorless, Guardian Idol becomes a 2/2 artifact creature.
You know, I don't hate that.
Nope. I mean, is it like Worn Power Stone? Is that a 3-drop or a 2-drop?
I don't remember, but like Mind Stone is a 2-drop mana rock, and this also becomes a dude instead of drawing you a card.
Yeah, this seems perfectly fine. Like I would definitely pick up something like that. Yeah, like Power Stone is 3 comes in and gives you 2. Like it's obviously way better, but like I won't say no to a mana rock that can also just be a creature when things get like grindy, maybe like after a board wipe or something. Like nothing's out and you just slowly beaten in with a bear.
Yeah, I don't hate this at all.
Seems
actually.
okay. Interesting one up next.
Plasma Elemental. 5 and a blue for a 4/1 elemental creature. Plasma Elemental is unblockable. I mean, that's good. 6 mana is a lot.
6 mana is a lot, but 4 power unblockable. Like, I don't know what the spot removal was like here.
Yeah, like this is very soft to any kind of burn.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's a clock,
right?
If it sticks.
Like things like Sage of the Hours, like the ninja that's coming in and stuff like that. Like that seems more play because you're obviously drawing a card, but unblockable stuff in a limited format kind of is pretty real.
Yeah.
You know, so again, this is by no means your first pick, but I mean, this feels like a card I imagine that you could probably do some funny build arounds. For,
yeah.
You know, like the Invisible Stalker.
Yeah, I was actually tempted to compare this to Invisible Stalker.
Yeah, I mean, Invisible Stalker's gross and dumb because Hexproof is gross and dumb. But yeah, I don't know.
The art though.
Yeah, no, it's super cool. A lot of the art from this set has been really, really neat. Sorry, I accidentally did a shuffle. You've noticed, by the way, yeah, the reflexes of shuffling a pack as it's going on. So you've noticed that we've kind of been jumping through to uncommons. Whoops!
I was gonna say, well, man, we burned through that pack quickly.
Sorry. Yeah. Up next we got Leonin Squire. It's a bear. It's a 1 and a white for a 2/2. Cat Soldier. When Leonin Squire comes into play, return target artifact with converted mana cost 1 or less from your graveyard to your hand.
That seems fine.
Yep. Have we actually? It's gonna come into play nicely with this next card in the pack.
Yeah, the baubles come back. Draw you another card, maybe.
Yeah.
For Wayfarer's Bauble is a 1 mana artifact. For 2 and tap and sacrifice Wayfarer's Bauble, search your library for a basic land card and put that card into play tapped. Then shuffle your library. This bauble I like a lot better than the other one. Than Conjurer's.
Conjurer's Bauble, yeah. Oh yeah, definitely keep this. I guess that grabs the other one. So far, I mean, we've seen 2 in a single pack artifacts that Leonin would hit. So
yeah,
seems good.
Don't hate it.
But I'm pretty sure up next we've got the pack one, pick one.
Ooh, exciting!
It's Serum Visions.
Serum Visions.
Yeah.
Look at the top 3 cards, strictly better than Brainstorm. Serum Visions, 1 blue mana sorcery, draw a card, then scry 2.
This card's great.
Yeah.
Love it.
These effects are always powerful.
You get your Ponder, get your Brainstorm, get your Preordains, get them all up in here.
Yep.
I mean, so do you like Serum Visions more than you like Brainstorm?
I mean, that was the state of the discourse in Modern.
Oh, yeah?
That people were looking at Serum Visions and saying, it looks at the top 3. Basically, like you draw a card, then scry 2, whereas like Ponder and Preordain, it's like scry 2, then draw a card, and then look at the top 3.
Yeah, because I guess
and draw a card, and either put them back in any order or shuffle and draw a card.
Right, because like Brainstorm, if you just like rip Shash, you can't actually really get rid of it at all. I guess, right? You can't put them on the bottom at all.
Like
right?
it's totally incomparable to Brainstorm. But like there have been arguments made, maybe in jest, but maybe actually becoming serious, that this is honestly quite, belongs alongside Ponder and Preordain.
Right, because this is reverse Preordain, right? Preordain scry 2, draw 1?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I don't know which I would prefer to do. I mean, I'd feel like I would prefer to Preordain.
I think I would almost always prefer to Preordain.
Yeah. But I mean, again, this is absolutely a pack one, pick one, and that common too.
Yeah, I really enjoy the fact that the ordering of those operations can actually make a significant difference in the utility of a card.
Yeah.
Right?
Big time.
Like there's a difference between Ponder and Preordain, right? There's a difference between Preordain and Serum Visions, right? And it's not small. It can actually be quite significant.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, like Preordain is ensuring you're drawing, of the 2 cards you see, you're drawing the ones that you want, or getting rid of like for sure stuff you don't want. And Serum Vision draws 1, which is always good, and sets up your next turn.
Yeah.
Or your next draw.
Like maybe you actually want Serum Visions in Storm style decks where you are knowing that you will draw more cards.
Oh yeah, always kind of a thing. Yeah, I agree.
So yeah.
All right. Well, now that we're now that we're done giving a handy to Serum Vision, let's talk about Blind Creeper. It is it is a 1 and a black for a zombie beast 3/3. Whenever a player plays a spell, it gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Never mind. I did a this could be sweet.
Yeah, no, this just dies to like any combat trick.
There's something wrong with us not being like a zombie leech, right?
Yeah.
Like a monstrous leech creature or something. I mean, I guess zombie beast sort of encapsulates like all animal-y weird type things. I just want creature type leech to be a bigger thing. Come on, let me build my leech tribal deck.
Come on.
All right, up next.
Battered Golem is a 3-mana artifact creature. It is a 3/2 golem. Battered Golem doesn't untap during your next untap step. Whenever an artifact comes into play, you may untap Battered Golem.
Man, this sucks.
Yeah,
I mean, it could be cool.
like if you put some kind of equipment on it that allows it to ping things,
Yeah.
and then are like, Mox,
Mox.
Black Lotus.
yeah, and just
Yeah.
untap it forever.
Yeah, and then this thing will have done like 3 damage.
Yeah. But I mean, I could imagine like if you picked up that Leonin Arbiter and those 2 other baubles.
Yeah, suddenly.
Sweet untaps twice.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Next card. Told you had Life Breather. It is 4 and a green for a 3/2. For a green and a tap of it, you can sack a forest. You can regenerate target creature.
It seems like a potent effect, to be honest. But the tap clause is really.
Tap clause is huge. Sacking a forest is pretty
Oh wow!
huge.
Sacrifice a forest. I
Yeah.
missed that entirely.
Yeah.
What? No.
I mean, late game, this is probably pretty sweet.
But a 5-mana 3/2.
Oh yeah, 5 mana. Oh. Nope.
No.
Huh. I like the flavor text on this one though too. The tangle loans you life. Spend it well. In terms of the regeneration. All right, let's talk about the rare.
Let's talk about that rare.
Blah.
Plunge into darkness. 1 and a black for an instant. Choose one. Sacrifice any number of creatures, then you gain 3 life for each sacrificed creature. Or pay X life, then look at the top X cards of your library and put 1 of those cards into your hand and remove the rest from the game. With Entwine for 1 black mana. Choose both if you play the Entwine cost. Okay, so there was a card in this format called Disciple of the Vault.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Disciple of the Vault was a 1/1 human dork for 1 and a black, I want to say. James, if you can find that one for me.
This card is banned in certain formats, isn't it? Because I know it was in Mirrodin.
Yeah.
Was it in 5th Dawn?
No.
Oh, okay.
Is that the card?
Yeah, that's the card. Human
Yeah.
Cleric, 1/1 for 1 black. Whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from play, you may have target opponent lose 1 life.
Right.
And this was, one of the important cards in the black sacrifice stuff.
Oh, okay. You're talking about like a constructed deck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I don't know if this is the way I want to be sacrificing stuff.
I mean, I guess because it's like you get to.
Like, you can sacrifice all your baubles, which have sacrifice clauses on them.
Right, yeah. Like, this is sacrificing creatures. I don't know, like...
Oh, yeah, no.
I mean, the paying X life to scribe X... No, oh, wait. Put 1 of those cards into your hand and remove the rest from the game. There's got to be some sort of sweet combo that goes with this, right?
Where you just pay 19 life and wait until Grizzlebrand gets here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, or you're doing kind of like a ad nauseum kind of thing, where you're essentially just grabbing your whole deck. But I don't know. This is a weird one.
This is I can't see running this as a tutor effect. I could just have DT.
Yeah, I mean, I do like a card that you can do both of its effects for 3 mana. That's pretty sweet. Like an Entwine cost 1 is pretty nice, but I mean, I don't think there's much argument in saying that Serum Visions is probably the pick.
Take Serum Visions and basically, well, yeah, either that or the Mana Dork.
Yeah,
like the
Guardian Idol.
Guardian Idol.
So like, I guess like looking at it, we're going like let's say we're going like blue with our Serum Visions pick or something. I wouldn't. I mean, the meme king in me wants to like get a Mir Servitor and just like pick up every single Servitor that comes through the draft.
Yeah.
And then just be like, you've killed one, but soon the whole force will come for you. Because there's got to, I assume there's probably some pretty intense Mir synergy in Fifth Dawn.
Yeah, I would think so.
But yeah, very super weird draft format this had to have been.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly, obviously, very artifact oriented, but this was before my time.
And before mine.
Yeah.
Well, now that that is resolved, we want to talk to you about Standard.
Yeah.
Because Ben has been watching PTs and playing quite a bit of Standard.
Yeah, I mean, it's the format that I find the easiest to get into, right? It's kind of WotC's flagship. Not to say that it is like the funnest format or the best format, but I think it's one of those ones that it's very easy to sort of introduce to people as a constructed format outside of like kitchen table modern kind of a thing, right? Where you just sort of have a collection of cards and toss them together, and it generally classifies itself as a modern deck.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But this Pro Tour was awesome, as I was mentioning before, because there were so many different kinds of decks going on, and I mean, there was obviously the clear overtaking archetype of energy. Right. I mean, and we saw the birth of one of the main issues that I have with energy, which is 4-color energy that came in.
Well, Ether Hub just seems like it enables those strategies so well.
Yeah, and I mean,
same with Attune.
Exactly, right? Yeah, these fixing is very, very easy, and I mean, there are a bunch of duels in Standard right now. The upside is that a lot of these are tapped duels, except for say like the fast lands, or the most recently reprinted. What are these new ones?
They're sometimes called buddy lands.
Buddy lands, yeah.
Yeah, they check to see if there's also check lands, right? But yeah, the ones that check to see if a certain color basic is available, is on the field.
But shockingly, a lot of the decks that were going on today didn't really run many of these. Like most of those ones were sort of focused mainly on the fast lands. The buddy lands did not show up all that much, or at least in the top 8. Did you catch like a lot of the Pro Tour kind of thing?
Well, I saw a little bit. Like I saw a couple of interviews with players where they were talking about like their, what was it? It wasn't, they went to a lot of work to not call the decks like 4-color energy, Teamer energy, Sultai energy.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I guess we were watching, there was the one Gento, I cannot remember his name, running what they called Teamer Riddle form.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was just like, it was neat because they ran 4 copies of Riddle form, and it was a lot of these cantrip enablers, including Crash Through, which was in the deck, which is like, it's a cantrip and it's like gives creatures a trample, but draws a card, right? Like it was essentially the same as running like Expedite, right? Like from what was that, Battle for Zendikar, whatever, where it was just like give creature haste, but also like draw a card. Yeah, Crash Through. There you go. But it still ran, like your Long Tusk Cubs. It still ran Hydra and like all these like energy cards, and it's like, I mean, it was definitely doing something new. Like the deck centered around the Teamer Riddle form, and it was running like 4 copies of Enigma Drake. Right. And so like,
Enigma Drake.
Yeah, like I remember you and I sitting watching this and being like, hell yeah, like this is the deck that Cam and I would totally pilot. And then they're like, and then they've got the energy sub-theme, which was like most just like, of the deck.
Yeah, it was just like Teamer energy is the rest of the deck. And it's like,
okay. And it's like, I
guess this is the world we live in.
Yeah,
the
like
meta we live in.
You don't, I mean, it was running enough difference that you didn't have to call it Teamer energy, but it was still energy deck. But Then came all these other decks that were coming in, and like if you let's go down the top 8, just to give you an example of how all over the place this one was. Starting from the bottom, in 8th place was Christian Hawk with Teamer Energy, as we were talking about. Yep. But 8th place for a Teamer Energy deck, not bad. And I mean, these Teamer Energy decks were very interesting. I think it was this one. I just want to double check here. Yes. These Teamer Energy decks even then had a little bit of innovation in Confiscation Coup. Mainboarded. Yes. This card is super, super cool. And the only deck that, I think it was the only Teamer Energy deck? Yeah, the only Teamer Energy deck was this one, and it top 8'd, and it was the only one running a main board of Confiscation Coup.
I guess it grabs you like 2 of their long tusk cubs.
Yeah, well, I mean, that typically by the time you're playing this,
all of their thopters.
Well, so yeah, like you choose the one artifact or creature, but by the time you're hitting turn 5, you've typically amassed like 7 or 8 or 9 energy, right? Like, and this card gives you 4. So like people are playing it to, you know, steal Hazarets or steal Scarab Gods and stuff like that, right? It was very, very necessary to have.
Okay, that's clever. I like that.
It was really, really cool. So it's like, yeah, like the only Teamer Energy deck that made top 8 ran this one in the main board. So it was like slightly innovative. Like I kind of enjoyed that, and it actually ran one more of it in the sideboard, and some other goofy things. Actually, a big card that we saw coming in as innovation this weekend was Vizier of Many Faces in these Teamer and 4-color strategies.
Really?
Yes.
Tell me about Vizier of Many Faces.
So Vizier is super cool because it can do so many things, but the big clause that I love about this card is it does not target. So you can copy somebody's Bristling Hydra with this card, or you can copy a Scarab God, or you can copy a Hazaret. Like, it's just super, super versatile. Nobody ran it in the main board, I don't believe, but it was a sideboard card that we saw in some of these decks, and it was just like, neat.
Yeah.
It's like these copy or these like mind control effects, things that we haven't seen in standard in a while. So yeah, like that's what I'm saying is like, yes, you know, I think all of us are a little bored of Teamer Energy, but to see these little spicy things get plucked in every once in a while it makes it exciting to me anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, it also featured cards like this Christian's deck in the sideboard ran one copy of River's Rebuke. I would be shocked if we don't see more of this card.
I mean, it's a hell of a thing to have happen to you.
Yeah, I mean, I had it happen. Did you watch the Winston draft at all?
No,
when we did it?
No.
Graham got 2 of these and did it. So he Rivers Rebuked me.
Oh,
and that sucked. And he had like 5 dudes on his side.
Oh no.
Swang in. I settled the wreckage to him.
Yeah.
And he went, what the shit? And then like we finally started to reestablish board control. Played a second Rivers Rebuke, and it was like, what the hell is happening? 3 board wipes in a limited draft. So.
Oh no.
But I think this card is cool. I think we might see more of it. Single-sided board wipes seem to be the name of the game in Ixalan.
Yeah.
You know, both Rivers and Settle the Wreckage. Cool. And Settle the Wreckage seeing a lot of play as well, as we will talk about in the deck that I kind of want to talk about more later, Jeskai Approach. So,
yeah.
So Cam and I think, have talked about Approach of the Second Sun a number of times.
About it being like this miserable deck to play against.
Yeah.
Because it feels like you can do nothing against it. Because it has an answer for everything.
Yeah, like the typical version of this deck has been a blue-white version that is just counter spells and board wipes. Yep. And you know, spot exile effects like Cast Out.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's very hard to deal with. Like even if you go very wide, you know, they've got the Fumigates to put themselves back up. Even if you're playing like big creatures, they've got things like playing on curve against the typical blue-white approach deck is so difficult because I'd say just about every single one plays like a 4 of Censor.
Censor, yeah.
You know, Censor, I think a lot of people give this card meh pass, but in current with how standard is right now, decks like Teamer Energy, decks like Sultai, or less so Ramanap Red, they're typically playing on curve. And, you know, very few things feel as good as censoring or bristling Hydra.
Yeah, or like a Glory Bringer.
Or a Glory Bringer.
But yeah, getting that bristling Hydra like that.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. So, yeah, I was so against blue-white approach. I thought it was very unfun Magic. And then I built the deck and started playing it, and I get it.
Yeah.
And I mean, like you were saying, like that's how control
gets you.
Yeah,
right?
like
you play against it and you're like, this game sucks. I hate everything that's happening to me. I'm going to try putting this together just to prove to myself this is a bad. Oh, I understand.
Yeah, it's
right.
It's so much fun, and it actually has a lot of intricate moving parts to it. You know, it's the first deck in a while that we've had to like think about when, like, because specifically with Approach's effect of diving 7 cards deep after the first cast, right? Remembering every single draw that you're, or like knowing exactly where it is in your deck is such a huge part of it. That's why this deck is running things like the new Search for Escanta. Not in, oh my gosh, I can never pronounce his name correctly. Guillaume Matignon. Guillaume. Thank you.
Guillaume Matignon.
They didn't run it, but in the past this deck has run like a 4 of Supreme Will, because you know you either got like the counter
or the impulse.
Or the impulse, yeah, right. So, and you know, in a deck like this, impulse is so big. You know, you're casting your first approach, and you get to go 4 cards deep, and then you know by then probably your Search for Escanta is flipped, and then you just grab it and you're off to the races, kind of a thing. So
absolutely,
it's got a lot of parts, and like knowing when to fumigate and all these kind of things. I think it's actually a very, very cool deck.
To note, it doesn't look like this version of the deck runs Fumigate.
It does not. Yeah. No. So that's the thing that I wanted to talk about is.
Has it been completely displaced by Settle?
It's yes. Settle is what this card has pretty much replaced it, but they added in red, and there is only 1 red card in the main board, and that is 4 copies of Harness Lightning.
Yeah.
Because the fact
all singing, all dancing.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is this deck does not have spot removal, early game spot removal. And a lot of these decks, I mean, if you're playing Standard right now, you need to deal with turn 2 Cub.
Yep.
If your deck cannot deal with turn 2 Cub, it will not perform well in Standard. And that's kind of just the fact of the matter. I mean, I think it was Saffron Olive who tweeted recently. I think it was like this morning, where it's like building a Standard deck. Checkmark 1, can it deal with Cub? Checkmark 2, can it deal with Hazoret or Scarab God?
Right.
And if you haven't checkmarked both of those, back to the drawing board, because they're very real. So that was the main addition of Harness Lightning, but it actually does run 2 other red cards that are both on the sideboard. The first one of this is Fiery Cannonade.
Really?
Really.
Of all things.
Main reason.
Okay, yeah, it sweeps.
Main reason it's Fiery Cannonade and not Sweltering Suns is just the double costing.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, no. If it's a red splash, then that absolutely makes sense.
Right. So deals with a lot of the early game stuff, specifically Ramanap Red. 2 toughness is actually kind of a point where most of the cards stop at.
Right.
So until you get into things like Hazoret and stuff.
Which don't die to this kind of effect anyway.
Anyway, right? Yeah. So Fiery Cannonade, a very, very cool include. And then it also runs 1 copy of the Locust God. Oh, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Because in the main board, the deck also runs 1 copy of Pull from Tomorrow. And that combo is sweet. I mean, I love the Locust God. I think this card is so cool.
Oh, it's awesome.
Like, yeah. I definitely would love to build a commander deck and stuff around this. But yeah, those were the main Jeskai changes. Now, in the actual setup of the deck, it instead of running 4 Supreme Will, it runs 4 Disallow, and spicy little addition, 2 copies of Commit to Memory.
Wait, which one's?
Yeah. So
I guess Time Walk, or not? No, this isn't the Time Walk. This is.
it's kind of like Time Ebb.
Time.
kind of
Yeah.
thing. You know, so being able to take something from like the graveyard or a Hazoret or something like that and putting it 2 cards deep and then just holding up an Essence Scatter for when you're ready. Or, you know, on the off chance if somehow somebody's duressed your approaches out, getting to memory them back and kind of reshuffling back up is a pretty big deal. Also does fairly well against a deck that we'll talk about in a little bit, God Pharaoh's Gift. I also know that we said we're going to talk about approach later, but might as well just talk about it now and then move up.
Like these control decks are, you know, often called Seinfeld decks, right? Because if, like, on the surface, the joke is they do nothing.
Yeah.
Right? But on any kind of examination, they're actually incredibly intricate with about 1,000 moving pieces.
Yes, and speaking of 1,000 moving pieces, my favorite part about Commit to Memory is if you have the mana for it, you can cast Approach and then put Approach 2 cards deep with Commit instead of 7. If you have the mana for it.
Because it's on the cast trigger, not the resolution.
Blah!
Oh. Yeah, because it's, if this is your second time casting,
Yeah.
that is so unspeakably dang.
I don't think I've seen anybody. I mean,
but
it
if
was
you've
not,
got 11 mana,
then
I
just
mean,
do it, man. Like it's goofy, but I like that there's that little interaction. Also, a different thing that typically most approach decks don't do is it ran 2 copies of Torrential Gearhulk in the main board. Typically, what approach decks will do is they'll have Torrential Gearhulk, but it'll be in the sideboard because, you know, you'll go up against your opponent, they'll see, oh, you don't run any creatures, so they'll sideboard out all their removal, and then you sideboard in Gearhulk. The reason I think that it's in the main is literally because I think people have figured out that trick.
Yeah.
They're like, I know you're not gonna, I'm not gonna board it out. Like, I know you're bringing a Torrential Gearhulk.
Yeah, and also it's far too good of a card to leave out for one game.
Exactly, right? So it's just like, you know what, screw it, put Torrential Gearhulk in.
Yeah, and if it dies, I've only managed to Snapcaster back something.
Yeah, I mean, the main board, the main board is running 10 counter spells. So it's just like, you know,
censor, disallow, and then
one
commit?
Essence Scatter.
One Essence Scatter?
And 2 commits, yeah. So
2 commits?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Harness Lightning's really cool because really the only thing you're ever spending energy on is either your Aether Hubs or, like, you're getting energy from Glimmer Genius. And really, yeah, like, the only thing you're spending that energy on is either Harnessed or your Aether Hub fixing. So, very cool addition. I'm in love with the Jeskai approach. I think it's very, very cool. These are some really interesting things. And then side by side, we've got 2 4-color energy decks.
Right.
Yeah, so the first was run by Peter Glogowski, and the second one was good old Mikey Segrist. Yeah, super, I mean, 4-color energy, main reason that you're bringing that out is so you can run your good old Scarab God.
Yep.
This card is just too real. Is there any other reason for running black?
Does it run...
Right, Vraska.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vraska Relic Seeker. It's interesting. I think all of us were like really down on Vraska, you know, but...
I think if you get to the 6 mana, she's a big problem for your opponent,
but
right?
4-color energy is not an aggro deck, and I don't even think it's necessarily a mid-range deck. Like, it plays more tempo, I would say, in the way that it's like, it's probably gonna go for a little bit longer, and you're probably at that point gonna be fine resolving a Vraska. You know,
yeah, I don't think there's many situations in a game of Magic where if I have the option of casting Vraska, I'm going to be unhappy with that end.
Yeah, right. I mean,
right?
like you know, even just simple good stuff like getting your like, I'm pretty sure this runs yeah, like, you know, you get your Scarab God cast outed, right? And then you resolve Vraska, destroy cast out, get your Scarab God back. Like, it's just like insane value all around, right? So And then, you know, on the off chance that you, like, it's nice to have the inevitability of being always able to put out a 2/2 with Menace. And then on the off chance you get to alter, that's pretty big hose on your opponent. Again, this deck didn't do anything insane that I was just like super like thrilled by.
Like, it seems fundamentally to be a value deck.
Yeah,
Right? Like, it's just...
4-color good shit.
Yeah. Like, it's a pile, and it'll get there if you let it, right? And it... Like, Attune with Ether is still the most potent turn 1 in Standard.
Yeah, because, I mean, yeah, like we were talking about it. The reason why Cub is so powerful is it is very rarely, never a 3/3 for 2. You know, almost like any deck is going to turn 1 that is running this is going to turn 1 Attune with Aether, turn 2 play Long Tusk Cub, have that 2 energy in case you shock it or something, right? So that's why, again, going back to Jeskai approach, Harness Lightning is so key, right? You know, these lightning strike effects. Whereas, I mean, I guess if you're running an energy subtype, Harness Lightning is just strictly better. I guess, because like Lightning Strike can hit face, Harness Lightning can't.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I mean, in an approach deck, you don't give a shit about hitting people's face. You're just
it's like
giving
your
the board
opponent's
clear.
life total is completely irrelevant to you,
Yeah,
right?
So, but yeah, 4-color energy, really fun. We're definitely not doing this in order, I don't think. But
I'm assuming 4-color energy is also running. Does it run black for push?
no, push is
Really?
actually not seeing as much play as it used to.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't think it's running push. No, it's not. Yeah, it's instant sorceries is 1 copy of a Braid, 4 Attune with Aether, 4 Harness Lightning, and 2 Magma Spray. And then it's running 5 Planeswalkers and 3 Chandras with 2 Vraskas. So
Yeah, it definitely sounds like a 4-color good stuff deck.
yep. Let's move on to John Rolfe's deck. Good old mono red. Good old red deck wins.
What I've heard about like the current red deck is that it's actually a very deep, intricate red deck.
So that's the thing. I think a lot of people give this red deck a lot of crap, but it is super neat in the way that it starts off playing like any other red deck. You know, you're playing your turn 1 Bomat Courier and stuff, but then from there, as soon as you got Bomat Courier going in, you are almost never playing on curve. Because you're always trying to keep that 1 red mana up so you can refill your hand. Because a big part of beating this red deck is making sure that they don't get to refill their hand. Making sure that they're not getting their Hazarets and stuff out. So like a lot of the time, like they're just happy to just beat it in for 1 with this. But then it kind of gets a little bit different when obviously the board gets clogged up against these decks like Temur Energy and Sultai Energy, where, you know, they're going to have a tough time beating in without getting some bad trades coming back their way. And that's where, I mean, the thing that we've dealt with for a while now, which is where they're running 10 different deserts. Or like, sorry, 3 different deserts, 10 of them. So 4 copies of Ramunap Ruins, 4 copies of Sunscorched Desert, and 2 copies of Scavenger Grounds. So it's just like, if you get to that mid phase where you're like having trouble just beating in for that little bit, then you've got things that are going to the dome like Lightning Strike, like Shocks, and your reusable Ramunap Ruins that, you know, because I mean, Sunscorched Desert's coming in to deal its 1 little damage, and now it'll later be turned into another 2 damage from Ramunap Ruins. So it's cool, and this deck was boring. A little bit, in my opinion. But it did something very interesting in this Pro Tour, which was getting rid of On-Crop Crasher and putting in 2 copies of Harsh Mentor.
I saw this, and I like my ears perked up at seeing Harsh Mentor in here.
Yeah.
So this obviously has a very favorable interaction with a lot of the energy cards.
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
so punishes them big time.
Yeah.
Spending, like, Whirler Virtuoso is big on it. Yeah, like the amount of energy spending is huge.
Also, like, Scarab God, your opponent's Hazarets, your opponent's Bomat Couriers.
It's just, it's a very cool spicy card. I'm really, really glad to see it, because like I think when this was printed, it was a very hyped card.
Yeah, well, people looked at this and were like, okay, it's Eidolon,
Yeah,
right? Or it's a similar effect to that.
Right. Oh, Revel, like the Eidolon of the Revel, Great Revel.
Eidolon of the Great Revel.
Yeah.
Right? Every time your opponent casts a spell, blow them up.
Yeah. Right. Like, definitely. And then it just did not see as much play. Like it was definitely like a sideboarded card, but never really mainboarded, which really interested me. But you know, with how many activated effects of cards are
Long
going on
Tusk
right
Cub
now.
also.
Yeah.
What doesn't Harsh Mentor punish you for?
Like, it's just mana-based abilities, right? So, like, a lot of people are running, a lot of the teamer decks are obviously running, or energy decks are running Druid of the Cowl, because it's a mana ability, right? But beyond that, pretty much everything, like, if God-Pharaoh's Gift was an activated, like, ability, which I don't believe it is. I don't believe Harsh Mentor hits it. This card would be even crazier against it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's just like on your up or on your. Is it on your end step? God-Pharaoh's Gift
on the beginning of your combat step.
Right.
That's why it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's great. And then the deck also runs 2 copies in the main board of Rampaging Ferocidon. Yeah. It's like, this is the ultimate, like, Eidolon of the Great Rebel stuff, right?
Absolutely.
You know? Stop their life gain. Like, approach decks hate seeing this thing, right?
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's a super, super cool card. I'm glad to see it getting play, you know. Token strategies completely fold to this card. Like, they're done as soon as you see this resolved. So it's really, really neat to see it seeing a lot of play. I mean, and then beyond that, like, it doesn't do anything too crazy. It's got cards like Pia Nalar in the sideboard, you know, making your things like, because it can also bring in things like Aethersphere, Harvester, but also just making like your Bomat Couriers a little bit tougher and putting, you know, 2 little Thopter up in the air.
Yeah.
So it's neat. It's red deck wins. It's cool. As much as I hate losing to this deck, I would very much argue that it is not a brain dead like aggro deck. It is cool. It's got a whole bunch of things going on. But I will say that I think that this deck is going to need to change if it wants to stay competitive. I think it's there are looking from this, the fact that like Ramanap Red dominated for a while, right? And now we're just seeing such a huge change in terms of like decks that are coming in, and to have only one of these decks make it to top 8, I think they're probably going to need to change something.
Yeah, that's definitely some kind of shift in meta.
Yeah, like people are tired of this deck, so they're building very much against it. We're going to have to see some changes on it. Speaking of a deck that
suddenly
vanished and then came back. Let's talk about Sammy Boy's Mardu vehicles. Good Sam. I as soon as I saw this kid, I was like, I'm cheering for you.
Yeah.
First pro tour, makes it to the top 8, and it's just a goofy guy. Like I only got to really catch the matchup against, I think it was against Mike Segrist. But they're just like, he's just like smiling and like chatting away with him while they're playing, right? Like, it was really, really cool to see him go. And I mean, Mardu vehicles, it's I think like why this deck thrives so well is we stopped seeing a lot of artifact synergies going on in the meta. So he was able to bring in a Mardu vehicles deck that is pretty much like what we've seen in the past, you know, with running like Heart of Kirin and Aethersphere Harvester.
Yeah.
But bringing back a card that kind of like everyone just totally forgot about, the Nerd Ape. Inventor's Apprentice. This card is great. Yeah. I mean, it's exactly what this deck needs, you know. Yeah, running pretty much the things that you would expect in it. You know, Inventor's Apprentice, Pia, Scrap Heap Scrounger, Toolcraft Exemplar. Really excited to see Veteran Motorist in this deck.
Ooh, yeah.
I always loved Veteran Motorist. Like, even if you didn't really have that many vehicles in a draft, I would still draft this card.
The Scry too is really important for these strategies.
It's pretty big, so very cool to see that. And I mean, of course, it ran 3 copies of Hazard because, of course, why wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's the condition of standard, right? Like, it's only sometimes that a deck will be 100% in on a single strategy, right? Sometimes you just run good cards, right?
But if we're talking about weird stuff that was in this, it ran, how many copies was it? Yeah, 3 copies of Dusk to Dawn in the sideboard, which, like, makes sense.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Gets those big things out of the way, you know, Teamer energy, typically
Well, yeah,
Sultai
Dusk
energy.
blows away everything but your own crew.
Yeah.
Right? And doesn't kill any of your vehicles if they're not crewed.
Yeah, right? So it's like, it makes a lot of sense. It was just interesting seeing that card come back, because again, another one that people had a very hard time analyzing, I think. And then I think the general consensus came out that it was kind of like, why run this one? We've got Fumigate and Settle.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's super cool seeing it. I always like seeing Aftermath cards making play, because I think they're very, very interesting cards. All right, now we're into the top 2.
Okay.
So we'll talk about second place deck. Pascal Maynard. I enjoy this Magic player boy. Got second place with blue-white Godpharaoh's Gift.
I mean, Godpharaoh's Gift is a solid piece of cardboard. It, like, I remember, like, wanting to brew up something with Marionette Master and being told, you need to look at Godpharaoh's Gift.
Yeah.
And then, like, since then, it's just kind of gone off and done its own thing.
Yeah, well, that was the thing, right? It's, hold on, I just gotta remember does this even have it? Hold on. Oh my god, it didn't. Wow, okay, we'll talk about that in a sec. But I remember looking at Gate to the Afterlife, which is the card that fetches for this.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember because they printed this in Amonkhet, didn't they?
Yeah.
And so we were all just like, what's Godpharaoh's Gift?
Yeah.
And then they printed it, and I think a lot of people were like okay.
Yeah, oh.
We didn't really, I don't know.
Like, yeah, because when you see these effects, you're like, Ivugan.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, you thought it was going to be like, you thought it was going to be nuts, right?
Yeah.
But it turns out it actually is nuts. It turns out this card is great because, for all you Reanimator fans out there, that's kind of what this deck plays like. But interestingly enough, and the main reason why this is more of a Reanimator deck that doesn't even run black, which is a good thing to note, because I don't know if that's been done really very much.
Well, typically all the Reanimator effects have been in black.
Right?
Right?
Yeah, this Pascal's deck did not run any copies of Gate to the Afterlife. And instead went in on a very, very fun strategy, which is more of a discarding Godpharaoh's Gift into the graveyard and then bringing it back instantly with Refurbish.
Ooh.
Right? So it's a lot of these discard draw effects like Strategic Planning and Chart a Course to basically dump stuff.
Oh, I like the presence of Chart a Course in here.
Yeah, right? And then also a very, very spicy include for all of these Godpharaoh's deck gifts, 4 of Minister of Inquiries, Self-Mill for the win. It's very cool. You're dumping all these creatures that, things like the big ones like Angel of Invention and like the Champion of Wits and stuff. And then, and dumping your Godpharaoh's Gift and then casting Refurbish and bringing Godpharaoh's Gift out as early as turn 4.
Right. Yeah,
Right?
It reminds me a lot of the decks that ran Codex Shredder.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's a very, very cool deck. Like typically this has been running a lot more of black for just like little spot removal kind of things, but it turns out, cast out or even just being able to cast an Angel of Invention at 4/4 with its Fabricate 2 on turn 4 is pretty good.
Yeah, that's a totally reasonable play.
And I mean, like the +1/+1 effect on your other creatures is sweet, but I'm pretty sure I think this happened on camera. I think he was able to bring back a Champion of Wits as a 4/4 with 2 angels on the board.
So draw 6,
discard 2. bleh. Like, it's so good, right?
That had to feel amazing.
It doesn't even, like, it runs 16 creatures total in this deck, 4 of which are beautiful, sweet, sacred cat, business cat.
Oh, what?
Yeah, right? Like, I mean, and what does a Bowmat Courier do to this thing?
Right.
You don't even feel good shocking or lightning striking this thing, because it either comes back for 1, or later on it's coming back as a 4/4 with lifelink.
The cat came back.
Cat came back. This deck is sweet. I don't know how long we'll continue to see it.
Well,
I think,
yeah, like, again, it seems kind of soft to abrade.
it is, right? And that's the reason why this deck and Mardu Vehicles, I think, did so well.
Right.
Because Abrade was actually not that prominent this year here.
Well, I mean, you get the read on the meta, get rewarded.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, the deck ran a couple of spicy sideboard cards, 4 copies of Fairground Warden.
What?
Yeah, the sweet, sweet dwarf who comes in and exiles a creature.
Oh,
Yeah. And then also being able to recur it later with Godpharaoh's Gift, making it a 4/4.
Or no, a 4/4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty goofy. And then on the track of exiling things, 3 copies of Angel of Sanctions. Just, you know, getting those things. Like, the exile effects are, again, very, very important against the gods, which are super, super prevalent in everything that we're seeing. So, yeah, and then just like other kind of silly things, like 1 copy of Sky Sovereign. I think most blue decks were running a copy of Jace's Defeat in it. But this deck is super, super cool. I would love to see it continue on, but we'll see how it goes, because the more Godpharaoh's Gifts you see, the more Abrades you see coming, which means probably less doing so well, but I think maybe that's the beautiful thing about metas, right?
Yeah, this is called balance.
Exactly. So it's really cool to see. And then finally, the only deck of its kind in the top 8, Sultai Energy, piloted by Seth Manfield, who is now both a Worlds winner and a Pro Tour winner, I think.
Quite the resume.
Yeah, right? So big deal. Seth Manfield came in with Sultai Energy, and this deck is what I would call the actual sub-theme of Energy, because it has a lot of cool things that do energy-related activities. That was a weird sentence. There's so much room for energy-related activities. Because it runs 4 copies of Glintsleeve Siphoner. I'm pretty sure at one point he had like 2 on board, and in over the course of a game drew like 8 cards through these things. Super good. Yeah, so like in your energy package, you've got Long Tusk Cub as well, obviously.
It's just good.
Yeah, and 4 copies of Rogue Refiner. But then that's the energy package in terms of like creatures that deal with energy. I mean,
I keep realizing that Rogue Refiner is also a 3/2.
Yeah.
Like, it's a Coiling Oracle and also a 3/2.
Yeah. It's a really good card.
Yep.
It blocks like super, like after it's come out, it's basically just a, yeah, what are you going to do? You got anything with 3 toughness you're cool with swinging in?
Yep.
You know?
I wish you would.
Yeah. So, yeah, like, I mean, it doesn't run like Harness Lightning or anything, obviously, because it's Sultai. So it's like, yeah, its energy expenditure pretty much comes in from Glintsleeve Siphoner and Long Tusk Cub. And I mean, Energy Bob is pretty good. That doesn't actually, yeah, it's not even Bob because it doesn't hurt you.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it does. Yeah, it deals 1 damage.
Yeah.
1 damage.
Yeah, it's Arena, not Bob.
Yes, yeah. So it's like, it's really good. But then it kind of just goes with like pure value. In that, like, it runs 4 copies of Winding Constrictor, which just synergizes with either all this energy stuff that you're doing, but it also synergizes with Walking Ballista, which it runs 3 copies of, or it also synergizes with the 2 copies of Rishkar that this deck has. Right, like it's just Value Town essentially, like that's what I would call this deck, Sultai Value Town.
I mean, even in Legacy, you just see Sultai valueless. Occasionally.
Because there's it's a great color combination.
Yep.
Yeah, and then of course it runs like the 1 copy of Scarab God, but new hotness, potentially the best card, actually probably the best card from Ixalan is 3 copies of Hostage Taker. I don't think there's a better card that's come out of it.
It's a mind control that's also a 2/3.
Yeah, like, yeah, I can't think of another card that probably has shaken up the meta as much as Hostage Taker has.
It just gets better.
Yeah.
It just keeps getting better the more you look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted to build like a standard deck that's all around these kind of effects, like, you know, 4 copies of Hostage Taker, a couple of Gaunties in there, just like basically
Just steal
play
your
your
shit.
opponent's deck.
Yeah.
Scarab
like,
Gods.
I mean, these kind of effects, usually it's like, what's your win con? Oh, you just take their win con and kill them with it. Or you can also just swing in with this guy.
Yeah, right? Like it's yeah, just a good card. And then, yeah, I mean, we also got to give shout-outs to probably the best cantrip in the format, Blossoming Defense, which this deck runs 4 copies of, because it's what won. This is the card that won the Pro Tour. Swung in and pumped an unblocked creature, and boom, bing, bang, boom, there goes the Pro Tour. So shout-out to Blossoming Defense. This card is great.
Yep.
Awesome cantrip. Yeah. I don't know if this deck ran anything crazy. Like, I do like the 2 copies of Die Young.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense.
Like, if you've got nothing else to put energy into, I mean, this would kill a 2/2.
Right? I mean,
this checks one of those boxes, right?
Deals with the gods. Well, it deals with Hazoret, at least. Scarab got a little bit more difficult to deal with.
I mean, it can kill a cub.
Yep.
Depending on what the energy situation is, right?
So, yeah, other than that, I mean, like, also 3 copies of Deathgorge Scavenger in the sideboard, seeing some Ixalan play. So it's nice to see these Ixalan cards coming in and actually seeing play, because I believe there was like maybe 8 cards that got seen at Worlds, and like different cards. I think there was like 120 or something like that, and like 70 of them were Lightning Strike.
Yeah.
So it's cool. This was an awesome Pro Tour. I was really excited to see all the different decks going in. I have very high hopes for Standard, because, like, as annoying and boring sometimes as it is to watch an energy deck go off, I think that's kind of the beauty of Standard. Is there's obviously a very prominent archetype in using energy to do whatever, and seeing these other kind of decks brew around that and try and push it out a little bit is really neat. But also being able to see these energy decks do different archetypes within itself.
Well, you were saying that you were seeing Solemnity in main boards.
Yes, yeah, which is like kind of goofy.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. Like, I've seen a couple of people running it main board in Mitgo, which has made me go, like, I mean, you can't really call someone out on not sideboarding out on Mitgo, but it's like it's like whenever I get, like, you know, game 1 negated, I'm like, fuck you. Yeah. Like, how the hell? But
how dare.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I'm excited to see what happens. I definitely anticipate, I mean, as you know, it happens within metas, like, I guess there was a PPTQ for on Mitgo recently, which I guess we could just take a look real quick and see how much that meta got shaken up. Oh, okay, it's got 4 copies. It's got 4 decks with Temur energy, but 2 Mardu vehicles, first and second.
No kidding.
3 Mardu vehicles decks, 4 Temur energy decks, and 1 God Pharaoh's Gift for the top 8 of that PPTQ. But whatever.
All right.
This was a great Pro Tour. If you didn't catch it, I would definitely recommend seeing it. And if you want to try something goofy, my recommendation is Approach. It's fun. You get yelled at by people on Mitgo. Did I tell you about that?
No.
I was just playing regular blue-white Approach, and like turn 2, the guy figured out what I was playing, and they messaged me and were like, oh wow, another blue-white Approach deck. I've got some paint that I want to go see dry, so I'll catch you later. And then just like scooped from the game.
Really?
Yeah. And I went, oh, okay.
Yeah, thanks for the win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like someone clearly like way on the salt train.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think there's definitely, I don't think it's an OP deck. I think it's a deck that you really have to think about what you're doing to play around it. And I definitely recommend giving it a try. And also, don't be so down on Ramanap Red. I think it's got a lot of really fun things going on with it.
Yeah, I've heard that, like, Hazoret is a very intricate and interesting card with some really neat lines. So, Yeah.
Anyways, I think that probably wraps it up. I think we did a good coverage on there.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. That was awesome. So once again, this podcast is brought to you by you, the viewer, over at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. So we want to thank you all very much for supporting us there. And also by the fine folks over at cardkingdom.com. Go visit cardkingdom.com/LRR. That is our affiliate code. It will let you know that it will let them know that we sent you. And please consider them next time you're doing a bulk order of singles, or just looking for, your 4 copies of Foil of Braid. You got that itching in your bones that tells you that Mardu Vehicles is coming back.
I mean, if that card's getting seen in vintage play, it's never gonna go away.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
Braid.
you're just watching Gabby play a Braid in vintage.
Yeah.
But if you feel that Heart of Kieran coming back this FNM, go to cardkingdom.com for your braids.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. This was a super awesome interview, and I think that's gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, all right. Have a good one, everyone. Later.